All right, so we just hit 5,100 miles, as you guys can see on the odometer. That means that it's time to do a tire rotation on the Outback. So you might be wondering why I'm making a video on a tire rotation, and my answer for you is because I've been seeing a lot on the forums, on the Facebook forums, the wilderness pages, that people are complaining about the dealerships not doing the 5-tire rotation, which you're supposed to do. So it says here in the manual in 518, this is for the Outback. So it says right here that models with a spare tire of the same wheel type as the installed tires, you must follow this step right here. So these other two is, if you have a spare in the back that's not a full-size wheel, then you're not supposed to do this. You're supposed to follow this. So if the dealer gives you guys any issues, then go ahead and show them page 518 again for the Outback owner's manual. Says right there. So according to the manual, the rear passenger side is the one that needs to go to the trunk. The one in the trunk is going to go on the front driver's side. So that's how you do a 5-tire rotation. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. It should be a very, very quick video. And of course, I forgot to remove the spare before I lifted the car. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. So once you get everything out, it should look something like this. And all you want to do is just take that out. And it's pretty heavy, so I need both hands. So before I remove the tires, I created this label just so I can mark the rear driver's side tire that's gonna go in the trunk. You don't have to do it, but it's just a preference for me. I just like to keep track of these things. You never know when you'll need it. So I'm gonna go ahead and stick that onto the wheel after I remove it. So to remove the lug nuts, you'll need a 3/4 socket. And then I just have this cheapo impact from Amazon, which I'll be using. So I have it laid out to where it's the same as this photo right here, and I'm gonna switch it accordingly. So the spare, which is that one, is gonna go to the front driver. That front driver is gonna go to the back passenger, and then the back passenger is gonna be moved forward to the front passenger side, and then the front passenger is gonna go to the back driver's side, and then that one is gonna go into the trunk as a spare. So since I know this one's gonna go in the trunk, I'm gonna go ahead and label it, and then remember to remove center cap so you can put it onto the spare. There we go. So I'm actually gonna clean that wheel before putting it in the trunk. It was super dirty. All right, so I got the wheels laid down accordingly, and I guess if you want to label them, then feel free to label them before you take them off, because I know it gets kind of confusing with all the arrows and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the wheels back onto the car, and then we'll go from there. So after you loosely fit the lug nuts in there, next step is to torque them down to 88.5 foot-pounds. And I forgot to mention, you always want to do the star pattern when you're torquing. So you go from here, 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 here. And if you're gonna torque the front while the car is lifted, then you'll need someone to hold the brakes. All right, so now that it's all torqued, remember that after around 600 miles or so, you wanna go ahead and recheck the torque on the lug nuts just to make sure that none of them loosened, and you should be good. And it's always a good idea to check the tire pressure. So in the front, it should be 35 PSI, and then the rear should be at 33. All right, so just got the rotation completed, and I organized the garage a little bit. And I also washed the wheel itself right here that's gonna go in the trunk. So the reason I made this video is not so much to instruct you guys on how to do a tire rotation. And by the way, it's obviously a lot easier with the quick jacks. It would probably take me a lot longer if I had to do it on just regular jack stands and my floor jack over there in the corner. But like I said, I didn't want to make this video as a tutorial. I'm making this video more to address the issue of the dealer not wanting to do the 5-tire rotation. So I've seen multiple posts on the Wilderness forum that the dealer, quote unquote, refused to do a 5-tire rotation. Half of that is probably true, and the other half is probably on the owner. So if you're planning on going to the dealer for a 5-tire rotation, what I suggest is, one, calling ahead of time just to make sure that yes, they do perform 5-tire rotations and that there's no extra charge for doing that. And it's always a good idea to bring up the manual saying that if you have a matching wheel for the spare, then it does need a 5-tire rotation. I know a lot of dealers do that, but they just refuse to do the service. It's extra work for them. So your goal as a consumer and as a customer is to make it easier on them, and that should make them more inclined to do the 5-tire rotation with no cost. So after you call the dealer and they agree that yes, they can do the 5-tire rotation, make sure when you go to the dealer, just have your spare wheel laying out in the trunk. So that way they don't have to take your stuff out and unscrew the spare, put the other one back, etc. So just again, make it easier on them by just having the spare tire in the back, and that should increase your chances of them doing a 5-tire rotation. And yeah, where this is coming from, like I said, I've seen a lot of posts saying that they had a bad experience at the dealer, and no, I'm not sticking up for the dealership. I'm just letting you know how to go about trying to get a 5-tire rotation from the dealer. So again, to summarize, call the dealer ahead of time, schedule an appointment, ask them about the 5-tire rotation and if they're willing to do it per the manual, and then make it easier on them by having the trunk empty and just have the spare easily accessible for the technician. And before I forget to mention, so I've actually had to use the spare once. I ran over a nail and I thought it pierced through the tire, but it didn't. So I used the spare for a little bit. You're gonna wanna make sure that your TPMS is calibrated to the car. I personally didn't have to do it. I guess it was already programmed when I put the spare on, and so I didn't get any lights on the dash or anything like that. And again, this is a 22 Outback Wilderness. I'm not sure if it's the same for everybody, but just my experience is that I didn't need to have it reprogrammed by the dealer. So again, you might want to ask about that. So that's about it for this video. What I'm going to do next here shortly is do an oil change. If you guys remember my old video about the leak that I discovered at 1400 miles, I actually changed the oil at 1400 and then the dealer repaired it, which means they had to change the oil again. So I've been on this oil from 1400 to 5100 now, and yes, we barely drive the car. It just crossed over 5,000 not too long ago, and we've had it for a little over a year now. So in the next couple of videos, I'm gonna inspect the car, go under there again, and make sure it's not leaking, make sure the repair is right, and I'm gonna change the oil, and I might send in the oil to Blackstone Labs just for an analysis. I'm not too sure yet. You know, it's really cool knowing how your car is performing based on the oil. With Blackstone, they send you these containers right here, and then all you have to do is mail it in, and in a couple weeks you get an analysis. It tells you all about your car and if there's any issues that you should be aware about, any premature failure with the engine or anything. I did it for the WRX and I might do it for this one, but like I said, I'm not too sure yet. If you guys decide to go ahead and do the rotation on your own, be safe. Always follow the proper procedure when lifting the car, and just read the manual, refer to the manual for the rotation pattern, and research the torque specs. And again, if you decide to go to the dealer, good luck. luck. Let me know how it goes. I'm really curious to see if they're more open to doing 5-tire rotations as more and more people drive the Wilderness Editions and, you know, the mileage racks up and stuff like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and close this video out. If you found it a little bit helpful, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, etc. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next one.